G'day lads, hopefully you're going to be able to see this demonstration. Let me see if I can get my angles right coming through. If you can see this live video, give us a comment, let me know. Oh, sorry, you guys don't want to see my mitts across the screen. Look, thanks for everyone who contributed or put a suggestion through in our punters forum today. Obviously in the Facebook group, I opened it up to all of you lads for what the topic should be for today's Punting 101. So if you've never watched before, what we've started doing, this is episode 7, is basically little punting knowledge videos. So every Friday, 5 p.m. Queensland time, I think you guys south of the border, it's an hour later, we're just going to share a little bit of our knowledge on specific punting topics. And if you've missed an episode, you can search them in the Facebook search bar. You can look on YouTube. Hopefully you guys can read me, geez. If you can, give me a comment. Otherwise, I'll carry on anyway. It's not going to be too long. So the winning suggestion for the topic that you guys wanted me to speak about today was regarding, and this is why I've got this element in front of me, is that we want to talk about chopping your cock off. Or I thought what we would relate that to is how to avoid chopping your cock off when it comes to punting. And I'm going to talk about the topic of discipline because it's such an important element of punting. You know, punting would be sweet if every bet that we put down was 120 to 1 multi, like we had on Monday that got up, obviously, as many of you guys will know. If only it was that easy. But if it was that easy, everybody would be doing it and we wouldn't be seeing all these ads for bookmakers that wouldn't want our business if it was that easy to win money. So it's so important to have that self-discipline that's going to avoid you losing like unrecoverable amounts of money when things don't go as well, because at the end of the day, we're betting on outcomes that are not predetermined. As much as people think we've got a crystal ball, anything can happen out there. And we have to understand that when we're making a bet. Now, I'm not going to repeat a lot of the principles on kind of bankroll management so much. I want to talk about more the psychological side of it and some advice that I have with regards to kind of, more so just being disciplined and not chasing losses. But if you're interested more in the maths behind staking, that was episode 2 of our Punting 101. So Alex did that. And just to be really quick, it's all we loosely base it on, what percentage of your bankroll should you bet on every best bet. And that's loosely based around the Kelly criterion, which you can Google. And basically the 3 factors that come into how much money you should put on a bet is basically what's the probability you think of that bet winning? What are the odds that you can get, and how big is your bankroll? And basically with those 3 factors, it builds it into a reasonably simple formula, and that's going to give you an amount of dollars that you should put on. Obviously, the higher chance and the higher odds is going to reflect that you should put more money on something. The bigger your bankroll is also going to allow you to put more money on something, but it's all within reason because, even the pod, we've gone 60% or better on our 50-50 plays for 4 years. So we know long-term we can beat the bookies, but that gives you absolutely no guarantee that our next best bet, on Australia -6.5 tomorrow in the rugby league is going to win. It gives you no guarantee that out of our next 10, we're going to win 6, So you have to be disciplined with your staking. In terms of, the psychological side of it, if you are purely just betting for the joy or for the thrill of winning money, that's, I find that kind of troublesome if you're not betting specifically because you have any interest in the sport and you just want to see the winnings go up and down in your account. To me, that's not that different to playing pokies or something else. And it's an interesting kind of psychology that I read about once. It said that the emotion side of it, the pain of losing $100, if $100 fell out of your wallet, compared to the joy of finding $100 on the road, basically that pain is about 2.5 times worse than the joy that you feel. So psychologically, if you win 100, it feels about 40% as good as losing 100. So if you're purely just betting to try and see that, get that thrill of winning money, you actually aren't going to feel great, especially if your average punter is probably doing well just to break even. And if you're breaking even, you're actually going to feel shit. But if you are betting because you enjoy watching the event and it makes it more entertaining for you, then that's fair enough. And I have a bit of advice. Let's say there's a sporting event on, I'll just pick at random. There's NBL has just fired up. I don't know a huge amount of NBL, not enough to handicap it and confidently say I can win at 60%. But maybe I'm going to sit down and watch it and I want to have a bet on it. So my suggestion is, look around, and if there's a promotional play, maybe that promotion gives you that edge that actually makes it a long-term profitable bet. If you don't find a promotion, you still want to risk some money on it, that's fine, but just put a much smaller amount. And, a suggestion I have is make it the first leg of a multi. So I want to have, whatever, $10 on Melbourne against Illawarra in the NBL. I know that the pod's got best bets tomorrow in the rugby league. They might have best bets coming up in the NFL. I might have a horse I like to place on Saturday. So why don't I build a little multi? Now at least I feel like I've kind of got a little bit more at stake than that small amount. And if that, first leg on this basketball that I don't really have an edge on, if it doesn't win, well, that's okay. I only lost a small amount. And if it does win, well, that's contributed to having more on something that I actually want to have more money on, because I see time and time again when people, if they chase losses, or let's say horse racing, for example, you might like 2 or 3 horses on a Saturday, but if they didn't win, so often people are going to load up on the last race, even in bloody wherever it be, Wagga Wagga or something, Chuck, or Cunnamulla, Chuck, they empty their account on the last race to try and win it back. And at the end of the day, you're wasting money that you could have had on a much sharper bet down the road. So you've got to always remember to live to fight another day. It's fine to get emotional during the event, get emotional during the match, but don't be emotional while you're putting your bets on. Another, kind of psychological side of things is when people have won a few bets in a row, they actually want to keep this winning streak alive, and they actually get more conservative and they want to start betting on favorites because they just want to protect that winning streak and they just want to hit that next win. And there's actually no real reason to do that. I want people to understand that whatever the results were of your last 10 bets has basically it has no impact whatsoever on your next bet. So, if you've won a bunch in a row, no guarantee, or it doesn't mean that you have to go safer to preserve a winning streak. On the other hand, people that have been losing a few in a row, they think that they're due, they actually get more aggressive and more risky, and they put bigger amounts of money or longer odds bets thinking that they're due to hit one, and that's equally detrimental. That's what I'm trying to get across to you, that you have to take every bet in a vacuum. We don't want to see people risking their cock on something that they think is a sure thing to win back what they've lost before. There's going to be downswings and upswings in any punting, but that's where your staking comes into it. So I definitely encourage you to watch episode 2. Have I covered everything? Well, the other one is just never betting more than you can afford to lose, and that comes into staking, and we would definitely never recommend you bet more than 5% of the whole amount of money that you could happily lose. At the end of the day, we're trying to bet to have a bit of fun. Some people are, betting at a higher level than others in the group, and I understand that some people, may call themselves professional, semi-professional, but for the vast majority of us, we're doing it because it's fun. So I would never want to put an amount of money on an event that could ruin my day if it doesn't get up. So let's always live to fight another day. Now, don't get me wrong, I've had my day ruined many times, usually when the last leg of a multi doesn't get up. So it is very nice on the rare occasion, like on Monday, when we do hit 100 to 1. There's nothing wrong with kind of getting a bit of skin in the game. I've once heard a quote that if you're not shaking, you haven't put enough on. And as much as that is funny, and as much as we all, like to have a laugh, it is so important that we're not giving the bookies back all the money that we work so hard to take off them. So hopefully that I've given you guys a little bit of food for thought, a little bit of info. I'll leave it there, lads. But we don't want to be pulling this one out again, so let's try and keep it responsible as always, lads, and enjoy the weekend. Cheers.